Okay, so Diogo, thank you for taking the time to talk to me and the students at the University of Waterloo and to explain to them all about the Project Management Institute certification and our local chapter. This is going to be very valuable knowledge for many of them at the beginnings of their careers. Can I just ask at the beginning for you to tell me a little bit about yourself? You represent the PMI Canvas Technology Triangle chapter. What's your role there, and outside that, what do you do in your day job?
Of course. Well, Peter, thank you so much for inviting me for this call, this interview. My name is Diogo Magalhães, and I am the president of PMI CTT Canada's Technology Triangle. And essentially, my role now as president is to chair the board of directors of the chapter and provide a strategic direction to the chapter activities, to the chapter body of volunteers that runs the chapter, and also to ensure that the chapter strategy is aligned to PMI, the global PMI Institute. And it also includes in my roles to provide oversight to the operations of the chapter. So I'll be on the strategic side and also leading the operations of the chapter, ensuring that we have all the activities and the tasks in within the chapter executed properly.
Go ahead. I was just going to ask you what you do in your day job.
Yes, and in my day job, I work for the City of Kitchener. I currently work for the City of Kitchener as a technology project manager, and I lead enterprise projects in the Digital Transformation and Strategy Group, which is within the Technology, Innovation, and Services. That's what we call IT at the City of Kitchener. I also provide program and portfolio support to some business units as well as the TIS division, so the IT division.
Thank you. So the Project Management Institute, many of the people watching this will never have heard of it. Could you provide an introduction to them as to what it is?
Of course. The Project Management Institute is the world's leading professional organizations that helps project professionals and change makers to be successful. So basically, that's our main customer, or the focus of PMI is to act on and help professionals that work in projects or want to be professionals that work in projects. And also all those change makers. The reason that they're changing, they're adapting the terms that they're. So in the past, we used to just say PMI is all about project management only, but the world is changing too fast, and all those titles don't apply anymore. You don't really find only project managers out there. You also have project coordinators or agile project leaders, or change makers, or however you want to call, and that's why PMI is also adapting to that. PMI's goal is to empower people to make ideas reality. So really provide global advocacy, networking opportunities, and foster collaboration, do in research and through education as well.
Thank you. And so why are project management skills especially important today? You said a little bit about how the world was changing very quickly, but why are project management skills especially important? And with that, why are these skills ones which are useful for students to learn?
Project management skills are especially important today because the speed of all the transformations that are happening in the world is too fast, and we need a level of organization in order for us to deliver all the changes that all the organizations are intending to do. And that not only involves technical skills, but it also involves people skills, soft skills, and understanding all the communication nuances that are required nowadays, and the global communications as well. The world is so much connected that you have people from different languages and different time zones all working together, and you need to make those connections in the best way possible, and have your communication as clear as possible to be successful. So you mentioned what would be the skills that I would say that they're important right now, and I would touch on those. In the technical side, being a very organized person and understanding the steps to make something happen. And when I say make something happen, it could be a project, could be a task, could be anything. But organizing yourself, organizing your team, you organize your group, your organization, so you understand the work that needs to be done, how that's going to be done, when, and how much that costs. So organizing all of that in a technical way. But I would insist on the leadership skills, and probably they are more important nowadays than even the technical skills. We're evolving to a stage where most of the technical stuff can be done by AI, or we're moving towards that, or we could use tools to do that, or robots in the future. I don't know, but the soft skills, the leadership skills, that's something that's probably not going to be replaced by other technologies or things like that. So your communication skills are key for a successful project to be delivered. All those soft skills, empathy, being able to understand how your team feels, and how to motivate them, how to talk to them and listen to them as well. And maybe the last one here I wanted to touch is the conflict resolution as well. So being able to facilitate conversations, step out of the emotions a little bit, and kind of be a little bit more rational in terms of resolving conflicts, and making agreements between parties that can have different opinions, or think differently on the approaches that you would take to be successful.
Okay, so you're saying organizations are changing very quickly. Projects are helping them to change as quickly as they can, and that people skills and communication skills are especially important today in helping that to happen, and being able to combine that with their technical and process skills is going to be important. So students will be watching this, and they'll be thinking about whether they should join the PMI and become part of the profession. How would they do that? Or what should a student do to join the PMI?
Well, there are many reasons to join PMI, I would say. The first one is probably the access that you have to all the research that PMI does with respect to projects, trends, new techniques, approaches, and all of that. So PMI has extensive reports on the economy, on trends, on industry, salary reports, and all that. So you have access to all that information as being a member of PMI. But there are other reasons that I would highlight as well. for you to become a member of PMI. One is to be connected with your peers and being able to share your knowledge and share their knowledge with you, collaborate with other professionals that are either looking for the same or similar career development as you have, or they have different views on how things should be, or the approaches that are now trends, or they are being more accepted by the industry nowadays. So you have the opportunity to also connect with those people and have that fruitful discussion with them. And in addition to all that, PMI, through the local chapters, also as the PMI Global, organizes events that allow you to either do some professional development, or there will be speakers that will come and talk about a different topic, and all of that. So that was probably going through the local chapter mostly. And I think we may talk a little bit more about how the local chapter can help you as well. But I would say that all that connection with the peers and all the research that PMI provides and all the support for your career development in a project environment is the key value that PMI is providing to the new members, to members.
So if a student wants to be a project manager or is thinking about that as a career, what you're explaining is that the PMI provides a lot of support for that and allows them to become part of the profession and interact with their peers. The local chapters, you're the president of the local chapter, and so I thought I would ask you more about the role that the local chapters have, and why and how a student might become involved with the activities of your chapter.
Well, let me just say first how the local chapter, what's the role of the local chapter within PMI. So PMI is the global organization. It tackles the whole world, and the reality in India is different than the reality here in Canada. The reality in South America is different from the reality in the Saudi Arabia, and the same for Oceania. Like Australia, they do things differently than China. So the local chapter will tailor PMI standards and PMI strategy to the local reality. So the idea of our local chapter, the PMI CTT, Canada Technology Triangle, within Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph, Cambridge, and municipalities around, is to understand what are the local requirements, what are the local needs and trends, what's happening locally there, what is the industry that we would like to focus on that pertains to our geographic region. And so that's how the chapter will tailor PMI to the local members. So it's a customized flavor of PMI, I would say. So that includes also connecting peers within the local region. So making those connections either to match skills that organizations are looking for, and provide opportunities for local members to build those skills and provide that to the local organizations. So the key activity really, or the key goal of the local chapter is really to make those connections, make the networking happen, and provide those opportunities to local members. Now, I think my personal opinion is that you should definitely become a member of the local chapter, so you can connect to the local peers and network with them, collaborate with them, and understand where how can we build our region to another stage, to how can we evolve project management and the economy in our local region through project management as well.
So what type of activities does your chapter organize, and how do students find out about those activities?
We organize, so the local chapter organizes networking events, monthly events. Prior to the pandemic, it was monthly events. Now we're kind of tailoring the frequency of those events, given that we can't get together for a dinner event anymore, and things like that. But typically, we would have a monthly event as well with a speaker on a topic that is relevant to our members. There's the annual symposium that is also organized by the chapter. It's a one-day symposium filled with activities and keynotes and top speakers as well, workshops and all of that. The chapter also organizes Professional Development Day. And in addition to that, we collaborate with other local chapters in Ontario, especially, to provide collaborative activities as well. So we either have joint events with, say, for example, a Toronto chapter or a Hamilton chapter, which is Lakeshore, or even in London, we can make that connection as well and host a joint event. That also happens as an activity with the chapter. But there are other things that happen behind the scenes as well. The chapter is all run by volunteers, and all the operations are also run by through projects or somewhat using a project approach. So that is also an opportunity for members to become a volunteer in the chapter and test their skills, or try new skills and look for support to build any other skills that they would like to build. It's an opportunity for them to, it's a safe space and an opportunity for them to test it and learn from local professionals as well. We're all local professionals and we're all volunteers within the chapter.
Very important. For a student to become a project management professional, what do they need to do?
Right. So a person to become a project management professional, there's a few requirements that they need to meet prior to them to applying for the certification itself. So if the person has a 4-year degree, it is required for them to prove that they have 36 months of leading experience in projects. And then it adds to a 35-hour of project or formal project management training as well. Those are the two main requirements if you have a 4-year degree. If you don't have a 4-year degree, if you have a high school diploma or an associate degree, you need to prove a little bit more experience than 36 months. It comes up to 60 months of leading experience, and it also requires you to have a 35-hour formal project management training in order for you to apply. And those are just the requirements for you to apply for the certification. You still have to go through the exam, which is a 4-hour exam. I believe it's 400 or 300 questions that you have to respond to, and you need 70% to pass.
What about the changes that are happening this year in the certification? What are those? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, the PMP being the main certification for PMI, it's going through a transformation to adapt to the new reality, to the new world. And the delivering projects in a very predicted way through phases, initiate and planning and executing, monitoring, controlling, and then closing the project. That is kind of becoming the past, like an old approach. And PMI is now looking for the new approach that people are using to deliver projects, and incorporating different approaches in addition to the predictive approach, such as agile approach and also a hybrid approach to the exam as well. So that is also being included in the exam. And another key change is that those 5 domains that I just mentioned, initiate and planning and monitoring, controlling, executing, and closing, PMI is changing the way that they approach those phases as well. And rather than focusing on those 5 domains, PMI now is changing to 3 domains, and they're calling people, process, and business environment. So it adds another element to the project as well. And as I mentioned, that people relationship comes in play as well, in addition to the process, which is the technical project management, understanding the tools and techniques and input and output and all of that. And third is the business understanding. So where is that project inserted in the strategy of the organization? What are the benefits that that project is bringing to the customers, and how that is playing in the portfolio of the organization, and so on.
That makes sense. And the certified associate in project management is another possibility for students. A lot of them won't have the experience. How would, to be able to get the PMP, how do they get their CAPM, and why might that be valuable to them?
Yeah, the CAPM is the we call the entry-level certification in PMI, because you don't need to you don't need to prove or display experience in order for you to achieve it, but you need to pass an exam that will certify that you have the technical knowledge and you understand that the project management topic, and you understand project management approach and all of that. So the CAPM is essentially a certification that will show that you have studied, you have that knowledge, although you may not have the experience yet, but you've gone through all that topic, all that education, and you understand the tools and the techniques and the approaches and all that comes in play when you're delivering a project. So that's where I think that it will add value to a student to do that, because when you're stepping out of the university or of school, you really don't have that experience yet, and you have to show to the organizations that you're capable to start executing projects or participating in projects at some level at least. And the CAPM will give you that first step. It will give you that badge, that that differential between you and other candidates, that okay, I've been through that exam already. I've proved to the leader organization of project management in the world that I know about project management, that I know the techniques, and I know the inputs and outputs and all those tools and techniques that I need to execute a project and participate in a project.
So the CAPM is a good way for students to get onto the first rung of the ladder or make an entry to the project management profession, and to show employers that they've got some knowledge of project management, that they've taken time, they've done some studying, and they have a good, at least initial understanding of project management.
Yes, definitely. I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got your project management professional designation. Have you any practical advice for students who are preparing for those examinations? What sort of things what tips might you have for them?
I do. I took my my exam about 10 years ago, I guess. So it was a different exam back then, but I think the process to prepare yourself for the exam is still very similar nowadays. And I'm in touch with many exam prep courses and instructors, and that's the feedback that I'm getting from them, that the amount of effort required for you to go through the preparation is really high, and you really need to focus and understand how PMI approach is and how PMI looks at projects. So my practical advice is really to understand the PMBOK, which is the main the main reference for the PMP exam. It's not the only reference. You need to understand that PMBOK is only one of the references for the PMP exam, but your experience and other resources are also references for the PMP exam. And as I said, understanding the PMI way of thinking is key as well. So what is the purpose of all the processes and how the decisions are made within the project management process there. And I think that an exam prep course will help you with that. So you may choose not to take an exam prep course, and that's fair. If someone looking for a PMP certification doesn't want to do a prep course or a specific course for the certification, it's fine. But I think that the prep course will speed up your understanding, your alignment with PMI. In addition to that, I would say that study a lot and do a lot of simulation exams, and that requires time, because the exam takes 4 hours and you're going to do short simulations, but at one point you want to take the full simulation as well and experience the exam before you actually go to the exam location and actually take the exam. It's very stressful, and there's time management involved, and all that comes into play. It's also a project. When you're taking when your goal is to take the PMP exam, you have to make that a project and make sure that you know your scope and you know where you go and what your goals are and how to get there. And that's where, this approach I'm providing as a tip as well. And the last one is, if you're on the workforce and you're looking for the PMP exam, prior to the exam, take time off. Take time off, focus on the exam, take a week or two, focus on that, do your simulations. And the day before the exam, don't do anything, just rest. Have your mind rested and ready for the next day, which is very it can be very stressful for sure.
Good advice. Thank you. I'm sure there'll be many people who are going to benefit from that. The other thing I thought I would ask you about is that the PMI now has other certifications, some of them relatively new. And I just thought I'd ask you to really talk a little bit about those.
Yeah, I can touch on those. PMI has many certifications. As I said, PMP is the main one. CAPM is probably the entry level for general project management as well. And there are some more specific certifications related to project management, such as the risk management professional or the scheduling professionals, which are certifications are very focused on those two topics. That the person will demonstrate, the professional will demonstrate high knowledge and high experience on managing risks or managing schedules and timelines and all of that. So those two are very specific within project management itself. There's also a more business analysis focused certification, which is the PBA certification. So it's more on the requirements and understanding that business, it has that business focus for the certification itself. There's also an Agile certification. Well, maybe I'll touch on the Agile a little bit later. Let me talk about the program management certification, which talks about programs in general. So understand program, which is maybe a collection of projects and includes operations as well, or activities that you want to achieve a specific benefit. So managing a program proving your experience on managing programs, that's where that certifications comes in place. And then there's also the portfolio management professional, which is probably the top of the notch in PMI. That's probably the hardest one to achieve, which talks about everything. It's portfolio management that includes program management, project management, and how all of that interacts and how you manage the whole portfolio of an organization or a corporation. But that's, those are all, I wouldn't say that it's a career path. So there's branches that you as a professional can go. You can focus more on more technical, such as scheduling or risk management if you want to, or stay in the PMP, or go to a more program management or portfolio management aspect. And there's the whole source of Agile certification, new Agile certifications now that PMI is providing. So PMI is partnering and acquired Disciplined Agile, and it incorporates now a bunch of Agile certifications. And again, I'll have to go to my cheat sheet here to be able to tell all about them. And previously, PMI had already provided the PMI ACP certification, which is the Agile Certified Practitioner, which is a more broad Agile certification. It proves it states your Agile knowledge in terms of Agile itself. It's not a specific brand over Agile or anything like that. You need to understand Agile as a whole. And then the whole DA branch of certification, which is kind of new now. It changed name recently in the beginning of the year. And you have the Disciplined Agile Scrum Master, which is DASM, and the Disciplined Agile Senior Scrum Master, SSM. Those are certifications where you're applying or you understanding the Agile approaches as well, and how to bring that to a more, it could be a project approach or a product approach, or even a corporation approach, because we talk about Agile as an approach to implement a project, but we can also tackle or use agility for business agility itself. So preparing organizations to be able to respond to changes in the world, to changes in their environment. So the Disciplined Agile Scrum Master also provides you with that knowledge or proof that you have gone through that education as well. And then there is a few more within the DA as well, which is the Agile Value Stream Consultant, which is really focused on the customer value stream. So understanding all the steps of the process in your organization and how those steps are adding value to the customer. So in a nutshell, that's what I would say. And then the Discipline Agile Coach, which is more instructor focused certification.
Thank you. A wide range of options for students to pursue. My final question is that the people who are watching this will shortly be graduating, most of them, and they'll be moving on to the workforce. I like to ask the people I interview about the advice that they would offer to someone who's going to do that, as my final question.
Well, I hope that not most of them graduate, but all of them graduate.
Yes, so do I.
I think that my advice is to, well, the new generation already has a different approach, and I really like the way that the new generation is coming to the workforce, because they're coming with a different mindset in terms of they're more open to new ideas and all that, and I think that's really important to make sure that you have that, and you have that open mind to listen for different opinions and incorporate that in your bias, in your decisions as well. But also I would add that you come in and preparing to enter the workforce, you really need to think beyond what the role that you're applying entitles. Because you want to make the difference. You want to be highlighted when you're on a competition for a role, for example, and so you want to offer more than they ask, or you want to offer a different perspective that really will add to the corporation or to the organization as a whole. So understanding how you can add value to the organization, and that includes also knowing, understanding their business as well, and do that research beforehand. So understanding the business environment and how your work is included in that environment, and how you're adding value to the whole process there.
Good.
And I would also say build your technical skills, invest in improving your skill sets, and at the same time focus on what really matters to you, what you're good at. There are things that you can't be good in everything, so focus on what you really are good and what you really can add value to the organization. Make a good impression, live for it, have a lot of empathy, and listen to other opinions as well, and be a diplomatic. That's my one of my key advices as well, and talk to everyone, understand that everybody has different backgrounds and different understanding of approaches and opinions and all of that, and try to learn from that as well, because that will give you more power and a more and a bigger presence when you're discussing in a competition for a role, for a job position and all that. Entering the workforce, showing that you really can make a difference is key.
All good advice, Diogo, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. I think what you've had to say to the students is going to be very valuable to them. Many of the students who take courses I teach go on to project management roles in organizations, and and I think this will help them a lot. I appreciate you doing it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I hope that it really adds value to the students. And I wanted to also make myself available to any of them if they want to reach out to me at PMI as well. So the PMI's local chapter website is pmi-ctt.org. So there's all information about how to join there as well, and all the resources and activities are all posted there. We have other channels as well, social media and Twitter and all of that. But our main communication channel is the website. You can reach out to me there or on LinkedIn anytime, and make connection to me, and I'll be happy to help.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.